Hi, everybody. Welcome to American Comics from Manga Fans. Woo! Okay. Yay! Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your pandering. This is, the fourth year we've been doing this?
This is the fourth time we've done this panel. I'm Kris Naudis. Hello. I've been going to AnimeNEXT since 2003, I believe. I've had a very scattered career in nerddom, which is why I feel qualified to actually do panels, I guess.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Professional credentials, I'm not a guest here. I'm just a fan. If it's a fan panel, yay, fan panels, because those are the crazy ones. And
we're crazy.
Yeah, I worked for Pokemon for 5 years. Now I work for Engadget. Nothing we talk about here has anything to do with those two jobs. Okay?
Exactly.
I just wanted to get that out there. You know, 'cause if you Google my name, it's out there.
Pokemon's a manga.
But we are not doing manga for
not.
American comic fans.
No, we're not.
We submitted that to Special Edition NYC, and they turned us down.
Yeah. Well, that's also because they had 3 panel rooms, so it wasn't exactly a lot to go around there.
You didn't miss anything last weekend.
Not really.
Just in case anyone here was trying to go.
Yeah.
It was mostly very large, dark hall, broken bathrooms, and half the people who went to the con were just there to buy badges for New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
They literally walked in, went off to the left, and stood online for 4 hours.
They paid $35 to stand on a line.
It is a great business plan.
Line con.
Okay, let's...
My name is Ian Levinstein. My credentials are I'm a podcaster, and I like hearing me talk. I do the Comic Timing podcast, which I've now done for about 9 years. Holy crap. Basically, I'm just a part of a rotating panel discussion podcast. We just, talk about random comic discussions, get on my, friends of mine, fellow podcasters, occasionally actual creators, and shoot the shit about comics. And that's kind of why we're here now, to talk about comics.
Yeah, I've been reading American comics for over 20 years. I'd say I've been reading manga for maybe 15. I used to go to Borders, like a lot of people did, and just sit there in the back reading manga. And this was the 90s. This wasn't even, the manga boom hadn't happened yet. But again, we're not here to talk about manga.
Remember Walden Books? That was a thing.
Well, that's part of Borders.
Yeah. But, we're here like the title says, to talk about American comics that might be of interest to manga fans, or at least people who are cursory interests in American comics.
Yeah, I don't recognize any faces. Has anyone been to one of these panels before? Okay.
I recognize.
Yes.
You're one of our regulars, man. Yeah. That works for us. Yeah.
So we do switch stuff out. This is the 4th time we've done it. We don't do the same things every single year. We try to customize it to, what's in the theaters right now, what's on TV, what's popular. I'm going to say a lot. I can tell this is going to be one of those evenings. In general, there was a few years ago, the reason we did this panel is a friend of ours who was a manga reader but didn't read American comics went to a panel like this. And then she came out and she's like, they just told me to read Watchmen and Sandman. What kind of bullshit recommendations are that?
Yeah.
I felt so bad for her because those are the 2 things I would not recommend to new comics readers. So Let's get that out of the way. The stuff that people will normally tell you to read,
right,
we are not going to tell you to read.
We do have a section later on where we actually give some specific examples of things you should not read, but that's near the end, so we're not going to spoil that yet.
Yeah, so let's get started so that we don't piss away, our entire panel time. You do it this because I did.
Oh my god, comics!
There are so many things based on comics right now. It's ridiculous. It's just... and a lot of these don't even resemble the original source material, which makes it even harder that if you're watching one of these shows or movies and you're like, that's kind of cool. Oh, it's based on a comic. Maybe I want to read that comic. And then you open it up and it's nothing like it.
Commissioner Gordon knew Bruce Wayne when he was 10? What?
Gotham grew on me. I'll admit it. It grew on me for mostly the kid, which I thought I was going to hate him. I was going to hate chibi Bruce Wayne. He was going to be the worst thing. And then I'm like, wait, this kid's actually a good actor.
Also, the last 2 or 3 episodes were absolutely insane. I'm just going to put it out there. If you actually watched it all the way through, those last 2 or 3 episodes, they're like, all right, we're renewed. We're going to do whatever the hell we feel like. And we're just going to run around screaming yeah! And that's basically what that episodes were.
Yeah, so right now we're going to basically go over some of the stuff that's out there right now in terms of TV and movies and tell you what we think you should read. Starting with Disney's, Marvel's, the Avengers.
Shebang. Yeah.
I really love that image. I searched for Thor the Disney Princess, and that was the only image that came up that was appropriate. And I don't mean there was like nude or anything. I mean, it was the only image that was of Thor as a Disney princess. I was really disappointed in the internet.
So we start off with the Avengers, and you'll notice that, just to point out the slides, the numbers on the bottom, those are actually...
Isbins. That way you just type it in the Amazon and you get the exact volume we're talking about. We choose books to try to be affordable. We choose the paperback editions when possible. Try to keep everything under 30.
Yeah.
If it's over 30, it's because it's like a compendium and there's like 50 issues in it.
Right.
I know everyone here is cost sensitive.
Well, the first thing that's on our list there, you'll notice also just says straight up available on Comixology, because for some reason, and this just mini rant here, Marvel and DC have a problem with keeping books in print that are relevant to their own movies and TV franchises. And Ultron Unlimited is a Avengers story that happened in one of the volumes that you can see there, Volume 3 of Avengers, that's, to this day, one of my favorite Ultron stories of all time. It was written by Kurt Busiek, great writer. We're going to mention him later in the panel as well. But the trade paperback has been out of print for like 3 or 4 years now. It's available in full on Comixology as I touch this touch screen. Lovely. It's a great story, and it's just a few issues there, issues 19 to 22, which you can find in full either on Comixology or the Marvel Digital Comics Unlimited program, which is essentially like Marvel's Netflix. Like, you've got whatever amount of comics that you want to read for the amount that you plunk down either month to month or for a year, and you just keep reading comics over and over and over again. Keep reading comics, and new comics are available 6 months after the fact.
Yeah, there's a 6-month delay, but if you don't really care about reading stuff that just came out, Marvel Digital Unlimited is great.
Yeah.
I mean, the monthly fee is $10.
Yeah.
They do have sales like all the time, like, oh, you can get a month for 75 cents, and I have a bunch of those codes stocked up for my personal use because I'm a cheapskate like that. So.
Just like with Amazon, you can quote-unquote gift it to a friend, and that friend can be you. So stock up on codes and save some money.
So yeah, we picked Ultron Unlimited because I was like reading the description, and it's like, oh, Ultron fights the Avengers because he's trying to destroy Eastern Europe. I'm like, wait a minute, I saw that movie.
And the art is fantastic in it. If memory serves, that is actually George Perez art, and he's one of the best comic artists of all time. And it's totally worth your time there.
Very like detailed, a lot of line art, not as clean as like, again, if you read a lot of manga, you're used to it being very minimal. This is a little more detailed.
Yeah,
but it's pretty.
And your next one on there, New Avengers.
Yeah, after seeing Avengers: Age of Ultron, I was definitely in a New Avengers mood. So in the mid 2000s, they kind of like. They did Avengers Disassembled, and everybody quit, and people died, and it was sucky, and there were no Avengers for a while, and then they rebooted it into more of like a street team level. It sort of fits in a little bit with what's going on in the movies, but I was more in the mood for New Avengers because of Daredevil, which we're going to address in a bit, but like the Daredevil show, it was a little slow at first, but I eventually loved it by the end, and I kind of like Daredevil and all those street-level heroes, and Daredevil was in New Avengers for a while. I don't think he's in this arc, but it does have Luke Cage, who is awesome.
Luke Cage is amazing. I love Luke Cage.
Yeah, so this is like a team that has Spider-Man and Luke Cage and...
Spider-Woman.
Yeah, Spider-Woman, who doesn't get her due now. She's kind of like a... How would I describe her? Spider-Man merged with Black Widow. That is Spider-Woman.
That's pretty close.
Like, people love Black Widow. I'm not a Black Widow fan. But then all of a sudden you give her spider powers, and I think she's like the greatest thing ever. So that's Spider-Woman for me.
Plus you got Captain America in there, Iron Man from time to time. And you're right. Wolverine was a part of that for a while.
Yeah, Wolverine is only in the New Avengers because the writer, Brian Michael Bendis, said he thought it would be hilarious if he had Wolverine on his team, and all he did was, like, drink beers once in a while. Like, just appears, drinks a beer, and is like, bub, and then kind of, like, leaves.
Smokes a cigar in the background, like, while everybody else is fighting. That was Wolverine's job for the first couple of arcs of New Avengers. Yeah. And House of M would be the third one on the slide.
Yeah,
here.
House of M came out just after New Avengers, so we're talking about two things that are closely related. So if you haven't read these, you'll read one, and then you read the other, and be like, oh my God, I got that reference. Do a total Steve Rogers there.
And House of M is very much a Scarlet Witch
It's totally
story.
Scarlet Witch. Again, because of the movie, I was like, this is a great Scarlet Witch story. So the thing I just mentioned, Avengers Disassembled, was totally her fault. You don't need to read it to understand House of M, which is why I can recommend it. I will never do that to you. That is mean to be like, you have to read this, this, and this. So she kind of screwed things up, and it comes down to, well, she's a danger to humanity. We might actually have to kill her.
Yeah.
And that becomes down to like the X-Men versus the Avengers.
Right.
I'm trying to remember who actually wanted to kill her. The Avengers?
The Avengers, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and the X-Men were like, oh, maybe, but she's a mutant, and we totally stand up for mutant rights.
Yeah.
And before anybody can do anything, she's just like, she kind of freaks out. Like her brother's like, no, you got to work around it. And she rewrites reality and basically creates a reality where all of the heroes that we know and love get what they've always wanted. So, like, Captain Marvel, she was Ms. Marvel then, and, like, in this universe, she's, like, the most important hero in the world. Like, she's on billboards, and the government loves her, and, she's got, a fan club. Like, everyone loves Captain Marvel, or Ms. Marvel. Now she's Captain Marvel. She's getting a movie.
Yes.
But back then, she was Ms. Marvel.
Carol Danvers.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a little confused there.
That's perfectly fine.
Spider-Man, his, love, Gwen Stacy, did not die, so he has a family with her.
Yeah.
And my favorite... This is what turns the whole story around, is that Wolverine gets what he always wanted, which is to remember everything that's ever happened to him. Yeah. So he remembers his origin, like where he was born, his family, and stuff that has been hidden from him his entire existence in comics.
It was pretty game-changing.
Yeah. So he remembers that. He remembers the Weapon X program. And this is, again, I said the plot turns on this, is that he remembers the real reality. So he's like, I remember where I was born. I also remember this is not reality. So he basically...
I should probably fix this.
What?
I should probably fix this.
Yeah, I need to go talk to somebody. This doesn't seem right. So I love this story just because it's nice to see what everyone could have been in a different universe. Like, what if they were allowed to do, like, the things that mattered most to them.
Black Widow.
Black Widow doesn't get enough love.
No.
I don't like her, but she does not get enough love.
She's finally starting to get a little bit of love there, and that first arc, that's the first volume that's on there, Volume 1, she just had an amazing comic run that really didn't get enough press or enough love while it was coming out. Some of the most gorgeous, sort of painterly art by Phil Noto throughout this entire book. And it's very much, standard Black Widow spy stuff, but it's done beautifully. And
Black Widow isn't a superhero character, really, or a superhero comic. If you like espionage-type stories, you like, thrillers and stuff, that's what you read Black Widow for. Like, that's the great thing about superheroes, is that it's not a specific genre. It doesn't have to be one type of story. This is why you can have characters like Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange in the same universe, and still be superhero titles, but one... there's a sci-fi and fantasy. They're two different, genres. Yeah. And Black Widow gets to be the thriller, espionage, spy genre.
Which also leads into what's second on the list there, which is Winter Soldier. I think you guys know of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I think. Well, this...
we hope.
Yeah. This is the continuing adventures of, Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier in the Marvel Universe. And you do have characters like Black Widow showing up to help him out.
There's a lot of Black Widow in it. There's also some Sharon Carter, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she showed up.
And it's more spy, espionage stuff. So if that's your bag, this is totally the type of thing to read. You don't have to have read the comics, though they will reference stuff like, hey, remember that time when Bucky was Captain America? Yes, that's a thing that happened. But you don't have to have read those.
Right. And it does stand alone very, very nicely. Written by the guy who really revolutionized Captain America and also introduced Winter Soldier into the lexicon, Ed Brubaker, one of our favorite writers.
Yeah.
Secret Avengers is the final thing on this list, and that's another sort of like espionage Avengers team. There have been multiple Secret Avengers. This specific one, which is in Volume 1, Let's Have a Problem, the whole point of that was there was a team of Avengers that after the mission would not actually remember they were on that mission. Like they would be able to do covert ops and stuff like that, and then just move on with their lives as if they never did anything like bad, like maybe say like have to like get rid of a kid or something like that, or like go in and like kill a bunch of people. And that's what this version of Secret Avengers was all about.
I have like a look of horror on my face. I'm like, there are multiple titles where children are killed.
Yeah, that does happen.
Why is this so sad?
But Black Widow, Hawkeye, Phil Coulson, bunch of familiar faces were in Secret Avengers, and I would definitely wind up giving it a go if you can.
Yeah, so that's our spy espionage slide, if you're into that kind of story.
Definitely. Ant-Man.
I couldn't avoid it. It's coming out. I have to somehow justify the existence of this movie by making a slide filled with some good Ant-Man stories. So why don't you talk up some of the
Sure.
stuff here.
Well, Volume 1, this is actually not out yet, but it will be in about 2 or 3 weeks because this comic is very recent. It's written by Nick Spencer, and it's the continuing adventures of Scott Lang, Ant-Man, the main Ant-Man that's going to be in this new movie. And really, it's just about like him balancing his family life with being a superhero and really trying to figure himself out, because a lot of weird stuff has happened to Scott Lang in the Marvel Universe, which I'm not going to bother getting into because it's weird and it's confusing and you don't need to worry about it.
You're supposed to make people want to read this.
Oh, this is better than that. That's what I'm saying. And yeah, really, like the art itself is also excellent in the book itself. You have the first issue.
I haven't read it yet. I'm a terrible person.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking him to talk about it.
Right, but anyway, yeah, it's definitely worth your time. It's available on Comixology and in trade, like I said, in about I think June 26th, if I remember correctly. Irredeemable Ant-Man.
I've read more of that.
Yeah.
I guess they took the trades out of print because they want to promote the Ant-Man that's going to be in the movie. But this was the third Ant-Man, whose name is what, Grady?
Eric O'Grady.
Eric O'Grady.
Yeah.
Former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who stole the suit from S.H.I.E.L.D. so he could do things like, rob, just like the original the Ant-Man in the movie,
Scott Lang, yeah.
So he could commit larceny, but also so he could do things like shrink down really small and sneak into Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel's shower and watch her shower from on top of the shower head because he's a complete pervert like that. Or that time he was going to go beat up a supervillain and he showed up at the guy's trailer and ended up playing Wii with him instead.
I remember that, and also Stature that one time.
Yeah, and then he beat up the previous Ant-Man's daughter, screaming, "Who's your daddy?" while punching her in the face. So
it was really insane. But Robert Kirkman is the writer of this series, who you might remember from Walking Dead and similar properties. And Phil Hester did the art, and it's definitely worth your time. FF Volume 1, it's not Fantastic Four. It's actually a side series that was written by Matt Fraction. And essentially, while the Fantastic Four were off Earth, they needed the help of their fellow, superheroes to keep their school running, like their school of almost their school of gifted youngsters, almost like the X-Men are. And that team consisted of She-Hulk, Ant-Man, one of Johnny Storm's girlfriends in a mechanical thing outfit. Yes, I'm not making this up. And a couple other heroes, and it's slapstick humor, and it's totally different than everything else on this list. I guess maybe closest to Irredeemable Ant-Man in its humor, but a little less crude. So it was, again, give it a shot.
Daredevil, I already mentioned how much I like the show, so this is the only time during this presentation where Frank Miller will be spoke of with respect and any indication that I actually like his work, because Frank Miller, big comics writer, basically the work he did in the 80s kind of set the path for the next 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
I would not recommend his works lightly. That's why, again, one of the reasons we made this panel is because people you should read his Dark Knight Returns. You should not read his Dark Knight Returns. Do not read his Dark Knight Returns unless you've read tons of Batman and you like your grimdark.
Right.
But yeah, he did before he did what he did on Batman. He was working on Daredevil for a while, and he's the guy. He gave us Elektra, right?
Yes, he did.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't imagining.
Yeah, no,
that.
he created Elektra. He basically made Bullseye what he is today, and a bunch of other Daredevil what you would consider the heart of Daredevil is what he helped happen.
Yeah,
So-
all the classic Daredevil stuff is in those first two books. The third one is the most recent Daredevil series. I will talk louder if I have to. Wow, they actually heard that.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. Thanks. But yeah, Born Again came before Man Without Fear in the list. A lot of what Born Again was, you'll wind up seeing in the Daredevil series. That much is a given. Man Without Fear is essentially an origin story, which he did a few years later, which essentially was the first season of Daredevil. That black costume he's in, that's just about all the way throughout Man Without Fear. A whole bunch of the origin stuff that you saw was in that first season. He revolutionized Daredevil. Doesn't mean he's a good writer elsewhere, but at least he wrote good Daredevil. That's what matters.
I'll recommend his Daredevil. Like I said, the third one is the most recent Daredevil series.
Yeah.
It's written by Mark Waid, who's one of my favorite writers of all time. He's such a sweetheart. Mark Waid's, I would say his expertise is more like imbuing characters with heart and like making them more earthy. I think you've read more of this. Series
and that's definitely the case here because right before this, there was very much a like crime, dirty, grimy version of Daredevil out there that Brian Michael Bendis wrote. And this sort of resets Daredevil a little bit. Mark Waid brings him back down to earth, brings back a little bit of the superhero elements without actually making it too like campy Silver Age, like rah. But
I don't know what that means.
Neither do I. But I'm going to continue talking. And he does a very good job with what he's presented. His run is actually just about to end. So you can, again, read this first volume, see if you like it, catch up with it digitally if you want.
Finite runs, so you don't end up buying like 18 volumes.
Yeah, it actually makes a big difference.
Okay, on to the other company, as I refer to them as the Warner Brothers and sister
The
group.
Distinguished Competition, as Marvel used to call them.
The female part's a little underwritten is my new catchphrase for anything in which I find the female representation inadequate.
Yeah.
Also, I really like that panel of Supergirl like scanning that lady's boobs.
Yeah.
For the people who might be listening to the recording of this, because we are recording this, it's like it is a Supergirl using her X-ray vision on a pair of fake boobs.
Yeah. What's strange? My X-ray vision is picking up some weird plastic, and you're Supergirl.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the show will not be like that. But
No.
So since we mentioned Gotham, we decided to focus on more like detective-y Batman stories, including Gotham Central, which is not about Batman. It is about the Gotham PD.
It's the support team.
Yeah, how much their job sucks because they work in a city that is populated by supervillains.
Batman will show up very, very rarely in the series. It's basically just about the police force. And you've got Commissioner Gordon in there, but you've also got Renee Montoya and a bunch of other players that you've seen already in the Gotham show, throughout this series. Some really good crime work, because that's what Brubaker does best, really.
So, trivia fact: Renee Montoya, Hispanic lesbian detective of the comics. Where did she make her debut? Anyone? Oh,
TV series animation.
Yes.
Yep, there you go. Batman the Animated
One
Series.
of the few characters to make that jump.
Yeah.
And she's awesome.
It's like that and Harley Quinn, basically.
Who is she now in the comics?
The question?
Bing! Boom.
We don't have anything. Wait.
We do have.
Hold on.
No, here.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I'm going to give you diabetes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotham Central was a while ago, by the way, but it's being recollected because of Gotham, and this first volume has been reissued. You can definitely find it on the stands. You can find it on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold, and Comixology. Hush.
I love Hush. Hush is like my favorite fangirl Batman comic because it's about, this villain who just is like, I know you, Bruce Wayne, and I'm going to destroy everything you love. And I mean, that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is that Batman finally freaking bangs Catwoman. And it is amazing. It's like the entire story is like, I have to fight this villain, but Selina is so attractive tonight.
I kind of wanted the subtitle of Hush to be, finally!
Like the entire, you move aside all the supervillain crap. It is ultimately, for me, it is a story about how Batman feels about Catwoman, and then of course is all like, I cannot be with you, for I am the night.
And my parents, if you have not heard by now, are dead. Plus, there's also some Superman stuff in there, and that was pretty awesome.
There was?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hush. Remember?
I don't remember. I just remember the kissing.
Poison Ivy took control of Superman,
Yes.
and Superman winds up beating up Batman for a while until Batman beats him up, and that's much more fun. Court of Owls is something that I'm a lot more familiar with than Kris.
Yeah, he put that on the slide. I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Well, it's the current run of Batman. There's this thing that you might see mentioned in DC. They had this big, since we mentioned reboots and relaunches earlier, they had this big reboot called The New 52, where essentially they took everything that happened before and said, hey, guess what? We're starting from scratch, except for a few things here and there, which makes things annoying, but everything is new again. And this was the first volume of the new Batman, of The New 52. Written by Scott Snyder with art by Greg Capullo, who drew Spawn back in the day. He
was really good.
Yeah, he's a excellent artist. And the whole Court of Owls thing was very much as much a mystery as it was, super heroics. Like, there's essentially this, like, secret cabal that's been running Gotham all these years, and Batman has to investigate how to get rid of them and just how much control they actually have. And that is the Court of Owls for you. And Scott Snyder's still writing Batman to this day, and he's reinvigorated the Joker and like done a whole bunch of other crazy stuff for the title.
Scott Snyder also he writes American Vampire.
He
right?
does indeed, yes.
Which is a title I've recommended in previous years. We didn't put American Vampire in this presentation, but I do recommend it. It's this like Western, outlaw guy who gets turned into a vampire, but unlike the old school European this in their mythology, like European vampires are a lot weaker than what he's become. Like he can actually he can be a daywalker and stuff like that. So he just totally screws shit up for them, and it's so fun.
And side story written by Stephen King, correct?
Because Stephen King co-created the series,
right.
But he does not write it, which is fine because he is a novel writer. He writes eight pages a day.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Superman.
Hey, Superman. I'm the one. I picked everything on this slide because I am not a Superman fan. Let's get that out of the way. It doesn't mean I don't read Superman stories. I think when Superman is written, when you get to the heart of the character, you can make a really good story. The first one I picked on here was All-Star Superman. Like, if you just want a quintessential, solid Superman story, this is it. Like, Superman's origin is one page. It is 4 panels, and it's like dying planet, desperate parents, and it's just like these shots of like the planet blowing up and the rocket and the Kents like opening up the rocket and finding him. Like, it's very simple, and then
they tell his entire origin in like 4 panels.
And then like the rest of the series does like the 12 labors of Hercules, but they put a Superman twist on them, so there's like alternate dimensions and like going to the sun, like there's like a base on the sun. There's crazy stuff, you know. There's the one part where like Lois is at the Fortress of Solitude and she starts hallucinating and thinking Superman brought her there to like kill her.
And they included that in the movie.
There was a movie, the movie condenses it. I didn't really like the movie, and then I read the story and I was like, hey, the comic's really good. So.
Final Night.
Well, the other 2 stories I picked because of Batman versus Superman. I don't want to see that movie, and every time I see the trailer or any other stuff, I'm like, why are they fighting?
We are not fans of the Man of Steel movie. I know that people are very, very split on that. We are on the side of, dear God, what did you do to Superman? And this is very much like back when Superman and Batman were still bros. Back when they would still have side conversations.
I picked 2 of the most bro-tastic Superman Batman stories I could remember. Final Night, I found out, is out of print, so you just have to get it on Comixology.
Yeah, but it is there in full on Comixology. It's a mini series anyway, so there's only like 4 or 5 issues.
The sun is dying. Earth's gonna be destroyed. Everything's sucky.
Yeah, the Sun Eater. And basically, like, because of that, everybody on Earth is like, oh, so we might be dying like by next week. So you want to have heart to heart? And that's
heart to hearts. There's Vandal Savage tries to steal the Mona Lisa because he figures, why not? It's the end of the world. Nobody's paying attention. But Batman is.
Yeah, because wouldn't you? I mean, please. And Public Enemies was also made into a movie, which I actually liked a little bit better than All-Star Superman. I think they did a better job with that.
It's a pretty solid movie. I will pretty much sell you on this book. It does have the line, like Superman's like punching, the bad guy in it, and he's like, "You just killed my best friend," meaning Batman. And I'm like, "Whoopee! Oh my God!" I'm having such a girl moment right now. My ovaries exploded.
Yeah, but this is also back when Lex Luthor was still president. I said those words. Anyone who did not know that ever happened, this is great because.
Warren Ellis once had this great quote. So Lex Luthor was elected president in the DC universe, and the way the writer Warren Ellis, who has written titles we've recommended in the past, said every day that Lex Luthor is in the Oval Office and does a good job, he makes Superman look like an impotent dick. So this is one of those stories you could be like. Except by the end, it kind of...
There's a let's break into the White House moment in this book, which is totally awesome in every way.
It's Lex Luthor. He's the bad guy. He's always the bad guy. Is this where he finally got kicked out? He got kicked out in the movie. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Green Arrow, which is just called Arrow in the TV show. But he's green, so Green Arrow, yeah.
I have an audiobook of this of the novelization of Kingdom Come.
Yes.
And it's like a full audio drama. And there's this great part that I always quote with him, and it's just like, because the character, they're in a bar and you hear the crowd noise, and one of them goes, "It's an arrow, a green arrow."
I actually digitized that. It was only available on audio tape at one point.
I have the cassettes. Cassettes. That's how old I am. I bought cassettes of this.
So I digitized the cassette. The torrent might still be online, and if not, I might have to just
if anybody
put it back
wants
up.
a copy, just bug him after the show.
But Quiver was Kevin Smith's essentially relaunch of the Green Arrow franchise with Ollie back in charge because he was gone for a while.
Ollie was dead.
Yeah.
That is the Kevin Smith story. So that was like, Ollie's dead. He came back from the dead. Nobody believed it was him because he was all young and 60s hippie environmentalist. Left wing, everybody was just like, "Oh my God, you're so retro. I love you."
If you're going to read American comics, you're going to have to get used to the words, "He was dead, but he got better." And that's what happened here with Oliver Queen.
I'm sure people have seen Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I know. Right. It's very similar to that. Yeah. Dragon Ball is sort of an American comic in that way. Whole bunch coming back from the dead.
If you have not read the Dragon Ball manga, I do recommend it.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the show because, it had to pad everything out, but the comic is so compact, it's solid, it's fast-moving. I love that manga. There's a reason why it's a classic.
Yeah, but Quiver brings Oliver Queen back into the DC universe. He doesn't have all of his memories. He's trying to figure out exactly what happened, where he is, where his family is, and all that fun stuff.
His son is in it. I love his son.
Yes, his son
is
kind of
half white, quarter Korean, quarter black, Buddhist, virgin. I don't know. I'm sure there's a bunch of other things I could tack on there.
Yeah, but he's the complete opposite of Oliver Queen in every way. Ollie's like, I'm going to stab this guy. And Connor's like, pacifism? So that's pretty great.
Your green arrow. You have arrows.
Yeah.
So Archer's Quest?
Archer's Quest followed up Quiver. It was written by Brad Meltzer, who is mainly known for his novels. But
political thrillers.
Yeah, political thrillers. But he also does superhero comics. So there you go. Archer's Quest was pretty much like him tying up the loose ends of while he was dead. The Shade, who is another one of my favorite characters, who showed up in Starman, a great series back in the 90s.
Which we didn't recommend. Maybe I should have put that on the slide. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year, exactly. But anyway, he tasks Ollie to find a bunch of items that went missing while he was gone that once belonged to him. That if in the wrong hands could kind of be bad. And it's also has Arsenal at the time, Roy Harper, who you know from the show probably. And
who watches Arrow, by the way? Anybody?
Yay! Okay. 2 people. Arrow's a good show. You should probably watch it. All right, whatever.
Wait, I want to ask this person. Do you know why it's hilarious that Roy Harper was dating Thea on the show? No?
No? Okay, all right. Yeah, just go ahead. You didn't approve of it? Nah.
Well, Ian would laugh hysterically because the thing is, on the show, Thea's nickname was Speedy, right?
Yeah.
And Roy Harper's original alias was Speedy.
So, Speedy X Speedy!
Yeah. So he laughed. It was like character incest or whatever, so...
Speedy's having sex with himself.
Herself.
Or herself. So, yeah, Archer's Quest is... The Isman that we have on there is for the softcover, which is actually now out of print. They're re-releasing it as a deluxe hardcover. But it's available on Comixology, and you can get that version of the softcover for dirt cheap online if you just go to Amazon Marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon still has it.
Yeah.
So,
and Green Arrow, Black Canary is on there because Green Arrow and Black Canary are in the show. So, yay. And this arc also involves Ra's al Ghul, who is also on the show. And this was basically Ra's al Ghul and his Assassin League.
It's Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul. No, it's always going to be Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, okay, finish.
Anyway, it's basically him and his Assassin League messing with Black Canary and, by proxy, Green Arrow. So that was good stuff.
Yeah, because the story continues in the Volume 3. I just didn't put Volume 3 on there because the slide would have gotten kind of cluttered.
Judd Winnick, good writer. Used to be on The Real World. Yep, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we're almost out of the TV zone here. Yay, Flash. I was a big Flash fan in high school, so a lot of my favorite stuff is like old school stuff that is not in print, which is you picked Rebirth and Move Forward.
Yeah.
I'm the one who recommended like Born to Run.
Yeah.
That's from the I'm just going to do Born to Run real quick.
Okay.
That was it's Wally West, not the Flash that's on the show right now, but it's a very solid, like, here's his origin. You know, like, Wally West became Kid Flash when he has, like, the most comic booky, crappy origin. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to visit my Uncle Barry's crime lab. Oh, no, lightning and chemicals have turned me into a super speedster just like my uncle in the exact same manner.
What a coincidence!
It's the... Yeah, it's one of the stupidest origins, but this is kind of like that story kind of goes over like, well, you're a teenager who just got superpowers. What do you do next? So it's got I'll use the word a lot of heart.
Yeah, and also written by Mark Waid, who we brought up earlier.
I love Mark Waid.
Yeah. Rebirth, that's when Barry Allen first came back into the DC universe. So it's a good way to, I guess, really like see how they resituated himself. And there is Wally in there as well, plus the rest of the Flash family.
Flash is an interesting like if you can pick up most Flash books that you see in a store or on Comixology, and there's a lot of interesting stuff in there because Mark Waid in the 90s was like, oh, there's a bunch of characters who have super speed and they all got it different ways, and that's kind of dumb. So he created like the Speed Force, and this field of energy that gives people super speed, and that it chooses the people it thinks it is worthy to have its power. And he kind of tying everyone together, he created more of a family feel to this group of superheroes. So these are people who now they hang out, they fight crime together, they go to barbecues together, and I really kind of like
it's pretty cool.
I think that's the strongest point of Flash in general. Like, you don't get that on the show because we're not at that point. It's only season 1.
Right.
But the comics have this very familial feel, and it is one of the selling points of the series.
And Jeff Johns does actually use the Speed Force to bring Barry back, so that works.
Deus Ex Machina!
Yeah. Move Forward was the first New 52 Flash arc. Both Kris and I read it. Francis Manapul did the art and the writing on it. I'll admit, I wasn't exactly that sold on the writing, but the art is so beautiful. And it's worth picking up almost just for that. But you might actually like the story better than we did, for all you know, because there were people that I know who were also big fans of the story, so that's why it's on there. And it's Barry Allen's story.
Just move on, otherwise I'm going to start reminiscing about high school.
That's fine. Supergirl. That is going to be a show on CBS this fall. So make sure to look out for that. The first one on here, Who is Superwoman? It's only really available on Comixology. I did include the ISBN if you want to try to track down the out-of-print trade. But this was, actually a friend of mine was the artist on this, but Sterling Gates was the writer, Jamal Igle did the art, and it was sort of a reboot of Supergirl at the time, even though it was in the middle of her series. It really grounded her. She got a family, she got friends, and like really started like staying in one place for a large amount of time. And it looks like they're actually taking a lot from this series in the new Supergirl TV show that's going to be premiering this fall. So I figure it would make sense to put it on there. And The Last Daughter of Krypton is the first New 52 volume, which I've heard some people describe as Game of Thrones in space. I don't exactly agree with that, but at least some people have said that. So you can agree or disagree with those some people.
I really doubt they saw last week's episode then.
This was way before that.
Yeah, so...
Zambies.
Okay, so here we are we're out of the superhero zone. Yay! No more actually there are some superheroes later on, but we're out of Marvel and DC. I'm not...
Yay.
There is some Marvel snuck in, but we're out of the TV...
Yes.
Wow, I said we're out of... I'm so sorry, guys.
So anyway, zombies.
Yeah, so this is the horror thing. My zombies and fallen angels and zombies and fallen... Yeah. iZombie, which debuted on the CW this season with, Rose McIver, I think is her name.
Yeah.
The comic is nothing like the show.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of weird for us to even put it on there. Like, the show is definitely zombie
Basic
Veronica
premise
Mars.
is the same.
What?
I mean, the basic premise is the same.
Yeah,
but...
the girl gets bitten,
right.
Works in a coroner's office, eats brains.
Exactly, and gets the memories of the people that she eats.
that's kind of where the similarities end, because the show is like Zombie Veronica Mars. The comic is more, I don't know if I want to say it's kind of more Buffy Supernatural-esque.
Yeah, even a little bit of Scooby-Doo in some aspects.
There's a lot of Scooby-Doo, especially since the other guy, the other coroner, like his character in the comic, which I don't even think is a coroner, it's just her friend, is a werewolf. So.
Not a werewolf.
No, a were-terrier.
Yeah, a were-terrier.
He's a
Whenever there's a
were-terrier.
full moon, he turns into a 5-foot tall terrier.
It's pretty embarrassing.
So he just takes that, instead of hiding himself or something like that, he just stays inside and watches Netflix. Like that's all he does.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. The art is by Mike Allred, who is. If you're not familiar with him, if you watch the show, you're familiar with him because they use his art in the opening. Like they had him draw those cards for the opening, and then of course they kind of imitate his art for the interstitial cards.
Yeah, he also drew FF, which I mentioned earlier in this panel.
It's what's different about this iZombie. Like I said, it's more supernatural based. Like the cause of the zombie bites or whatever isn't Max Rager. Spoilers. Sorry if you haven't watched the season. It isn't like disease based or anything. It's explained in the first volume, as I won't spoil the whole of it, but it's more of a supernatural thing. It has to do with spirits and
which they could very well get to in the show in one way or the other. But
I don't think they would, because I think it's for starters, the CW. I can see them saying, "Look, we already have Supernatural and Vampire Diaries and those shows for that kind of crap."
It's why they didn't pick up Constantine after it got canceled. So yeah, oh well.
We had Constantine on the slideshow last year.
Yes. Lucifer.
This year, I replaced it with Lucifer. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get into Lucifer because you know more about it than I do.
Because you haven't read the book yet.
No, I haven't. Although I have read Lucifer's appearance in Sandman. So
he gets the first trade and he dumps it on my end table and he's like, "Hey, I got this," and I'm the one who ends up having to read it. It's like this huge book.
Yeah.
So this is. Long ago, in the 1990s...
1990s?
DC, started an imprint called Vertigo, and they put all their darker, horror, dark fantasy, creepy comics over there.
Yeah.
But a lot of them came from the DC universe. So for a while, most of Vertigo was stuff still set in the DC universe. And then eventually they got a lot of creator-owned comics, many of which we will highlight here, or a few, I should say. Lucifer is one of those ones that's still set in the DC universe, despite coming out years later. If you've ever heard, we mentioned Sandman earlier. If you haven't read Sandman, it's probably something you should read at some point in your life. Which was, a series all about how all the gods that have ever existed were real because we believed in them, and as people stop believing them, they lose powers. And the main characters in Sandman were the Endless, which were the embodiment of human attributes. There was destiny, death, dream, desire, despair, delirium, and destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I named them all. Woo. Go me. Not a fake geek girl.
You know things.
Yeah. In the events of the Sandman, Devil quit. Lucifer was just like, I'm done with this. I'm leaving. I'm cutting off my wings. And by the end of the Sandman, he turns up running a bar, a cocktail lounge in Los Angeles. And this is where the series picks up.
Yeah.
In that, he's having fun. He's doing his thing in L.A. And all of a sudden, this other angel comes in and is like, God needs you to do something, right now. And, and he's kind of like, okay, I'll need a favor. And they're like, fine. So he ends up having to go on these missions. He's on a mission from God. And, and it's sort of like I can't really say it's a detective story because that's what the TV series is going to be about.
Yeah. Because things need to be either detective stories or detective stories for TV.
Yeah, this isn't going to be a standard TV detective story. The comic is more I pull on this thread and all of a sudden there's a giant, 500-foot angel staring at me. That's the kind of stuff the comic relishes in. It has things like Babylonian gods, and I know I got to move. Sorry. Yeah.
Walking Dead.
We always recommend this because, let's face it, it's a good comic. The show I can go either way on. The comic is pretty solid.
Yeah. The compendiums are, if you really want to catch up on a bunch of Walking Dead comics, this is the way to do it because there's 48 issues per compendium. So you're gonna get them out in one fell swoop, and they're actually not that expensive for paperbacks.
Try to make them as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about as years go by,
Yeah.
they start reprinting them cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
So
And the paper quality.
volumes 1 and 2 are out so far. Volume 3 will be out in October. So you can pre-order it now if you want to on Amazon. And the good thing about pre-ordering things on Amazon, as you know, is that if they go down in price while you pre-ordered it, you get it for the lowest price. So that might be worth it.
I wanted to call attention to Compendium 3 because that starts like... I'm not going to say it's like Mad Max because it's not.
Yeah.
But if you're sort of interested in like post-apocalyptic wars, like people going to war in the post-apocalypse, that is totally what happens in Compendium 3. It's
Definitely.
I mean, what they're hinting at on the show but haven't done is like this guy who basically controls all these different communities. Like he extorts food from them, and his own community, he's got his equivalent of war boys, and he has his women that he rapes, and it's awful. And then Rick, our erstwhile hero, is just like, I'm done. We're not doing that. That's crap, and I'm going to kill you. I will do whatever it takes. And that is like this long story arc of having to organize forces to take this guy down.
And in my opinion, it really revitalized the comic because for a little bit there, it was sort of like doing the same thing over and over again, and this changed things up there. All right, Preacher.
Preacher, also a TV show. God, there's too many TV. Next year, we're going to have to like stop talking about TV.
We'll change it up,
So Preacher, I read this long ago in high school, and now I'm going to have to reread it.
Written by Garth Ennis, correct?
Yeah, so... apparently, a demon and an angel got it on and had a baby. Everybody was freaked out by it. God was like, I'm out of here, and he quit. And the demons were just like, we can't have this thing around. It's horrible. So, like, the baby kind of fled the earth and ended up invading the body of this preacher, Jesse Custer. Yes.
Yeah.
Jesse Custer.
Mm-hmm.
And, he ends up, like, he's at church when this happens, and it, like, infests him, and he ends up killing everyone in the church. So he has to go on the run because, for starters, he just killed a bunch of people by accident, and heaven and hell want him gone because he has this thing inside him, which gives him awesome powers.
Of course.
I mean, the power he uses the most in the series, the one that comes out, is the fact that he can do the whole, like, tell you what to do when you do it.
Yeah.
Which... kind of does not turn out well when he like tells the guy to go fuck himself.
Yeah. Arseface, right?
That was Arseface's dad.
Oh, okay.
Arseface is a kid who tried to emulate his hero Kurt Cobain and blow his brains out and screwed it up and ended up with a face that looked like an ass. A puckered ass.
The 90s.
Yeah, well, this is Garth Ennis, who is for shock value. That is what he writes. If you like gory things, you like things that just kind of like, oh my God, how did you think of this? This is the craziest thing
You're not going to find a
read.
political thriller with Garth Ennis. That much I'll guarantee.
There's inbreeding and incest. I mean, obviously there's incest if there's inbreeding, but there's a lot of horrible things.
Creepy.
It's a good story, but you have to have the stomach for that kind of stuff. For kids with faces that look like puckered butts.
Hey, speaking of kids...
Yay! Lighthearted comics.
Yay!
In case we haven't scared you away by talking about horrible things.
And now
Here
for
are the
something
comics
completely different.
The comics your kids can actually read.
Yes. Young Avengers. Young Avengers is exactly what the title says. It's sort of the next generation of Avengers. There have been multiple versions of this team. The one that we're mentioning here is the most recent. With wonderful characters like Miss America Chavez, your favorite character, Marvel Boy.
Hey, he's called the Protector now.
No, he's not.
It's like the worst superhero name.
Not on my watch.
I mean, it is realistically written teenagers. The storyline in this particular volume, or rather that runs through the series, is that they kind of have to go on the run because of like this evil entity that's kind of emulating their parents. And no matter when they try to go to the real Avengers for help, nobody believes them. Yeah. That's like the whole theme of the series is like you can't depend on your parents, which it's kind of awful.
It's a horrible message, but it's really well done.
It's also, I'm going to say, it kind of checks off the diversity scorecard because we have, we got people of color, we've got, gay characters.
We've got
Actually, there is only one straight character on that entire cover right there.
Yeah.
Can you guess which one it is?
Well, you can try.
Seriously? Anybody want to take a try?
Nope. Nope.
Well, there's two females on there.
Nope.
I'll save us the trouble. It's Hawkeye. It's the girl in purple.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like gay or bi on that cover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kate Bishop. She's awesome.
Yeah, she actually was shocked to realize she was the only straight person on the team.
But the omnibus is a way to read it all, or you could just read it volume by volume.
Yeah, do it the cheap way or the expensive way.
Ms. Marvel is amazing, and you should all read it. That's all. That's almost all I want to say about the character.
No,
we'll say more.
You kind of have to talk it up. This made a lot of waves last year. So this is the current Ms. Marvel. I kept saying Ms. Marvel before, and I meant Carol Danvers. This is the
Kamala Khan.
Yeah, she is a Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel fangirl. She writes fanfic.
Yep.
She cosplays. She does all the things, and then one day she gets superpowers and starts looking like Captain Marvel, and she's like, what's going on? This is crazy. Oh, wait, I have superpowers now. And they're shape-shifting powers, so eventually she's like, okay, wait, I am not a blonde white lady. I am a Pakistani-American teenager from Jersey City.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jersey City, like they bring Jersey City alive in this.
It's totally
like
comic. You don't mess with Jersey City. That seems to come up every other page. I kind of love it. But
both the writing and the art is great, and it's filled with youth and liveliness.
Like the editor works on the title, who helped create her, is a Pakistani woman. Is she Pakistani? She's Muslim.
So.
I can get that.
She's definitely Muslim.
Yeah, the writer is Muslim, even though she's from Boston. She's like super white, but she converted.
Exactly. Yeah.
She G. Willow Wilson, great writer.
Yeah, who we'll bring up later.
Yeah. Ms. Marvel has Lockjaw, the giant teleporting dog.
Yeah.
She gets to take selfies with Wolverine. I mean, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It is pure joy. And again, like people were talking about diversity's sakes, she's a Muslim teenager, and that kind of informs her worldview.
Yeah.
Like when she's trying to decide what's the right thing to do, and like she goes to the imam, and he's just like, look, I can't give you any practical advice because I know you're not going to listen to it unless you like it. Just go with your heart because I trust you. You are a good person.
Yep.
That kind of stuff. It's it's very heartwarming stuff.
Very much so. The Wicked and the Divine.
Yeah. So we're kind of actually it is a book about teenagers now that I think about it. We mentioned Sandman earlier. I would say this is probably the modern equivalent of Sandman that we have right now. The premise is that I believe it's 90 years, a group of teenagers become gods incarnate. They become different gods like Thor or Amaranth. Morrigan, and a bunch of different gods.
Yeah.
And they become celebrities, and they do awesome things, and they die within 2 years.
Yeah.
So this series is covering from when the latest batch of these superpowered teenagers emerge and get their celebrity and war with each other, and people are trying to destroy them.
And it's written by the same guys who wrote Young Avengers, and written and drawn by that same team.
Yeah, so. It's a gorgeous book. You can we're so short on time now.
Rat Queens.
Rat Queens. If you like D&D, you like medieval fantasy, or you just like a bunch of kick-ass women saying really nasty things to orcs as they slice their head off, this is your title. It's basically an adventuring party of 4 women. There's different classes, different races, and everyone hates them because they're adventurers. Adventurers add nothing to the local economy, so so go kill some monsters, get the hell out of town. It's that kind of title. But there's there's plot arcs. I know the first plot arc involved the town wanted to get rid of them so badly it sent every single adventuring group on an impossible mission.
Nice.
Nobody came back except for the Rat Queens and maybe half of one of the other teams because they're that awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, alternative superheroes.
Yeah, so if you hated listening to us talk about Marvel and DC for freaking half an hour,
these are the other guys.
Yeah, there's plenty of superheroes that are not Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
And
here's two of them right here. Powers, written by Brian Michael Bendis, who wrote New Avengers that we mentioned earlier, and with art by Michael Avon Oeming. There's a show on the PlayStation Network right now that's available. You got a question? We are very close. But anyway, Powers is very much a down-to-earth superhero story. These are the detectives that investigate issues with powered beings, and one of them also happens to be a former hero.
They're cops.
Yeah.
They investigate superheroes. That's pretty much the premise.
Yeah, Ex Machina.
Ex Machina is one of my favorite titles. It's a guy who gets superpowers, and he's a terrible superhero. He's an engineer, so he gives himself a stupid-ass name, Ex Machina.
Yeah.
And he's really bad at being a superhero, so he retires, and instead he runs for mayor.
Yeah.
And he's not going to win because he was such a terrible superhero, but oh, wow, it's September 2001. Gee, I wonder what happened then.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's an airplane headed downtown. Maybe I should stop it. Hey, I stopped it.
I'm the mayor.
So that is like his entire, his mayorship is based on the fact that he stopped. He was only able to stop one of the planes.
Yeah.
So there's like one tower.
Yeah.
And it kind of like picks up on him just trying to be the mayor, being really bad at
Where
it.
life goes after that.
Yeah, and then there's, other thing, like where he got his powers from start to interfere with his ability to be mayor and stuff.
Oh, in some ways, although I am watching West Wing right now, and it's pretty damn good. Astro City. Astro City is very much an entire superhero world that Kurt Busiek has built. Kurt Busiek sort of distanced himself from Marvel and DC and decided, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to make my heroes. They're not even really like copies of anything that Marvel and DC has done before. It's a very unique series with a bunch of great artists to back them up. So I would definitely give it a shot.
A little more positive, more elevated. This was the 90s when everything was dark. So he's like, I don't want to do something dark. I want to do something hopeful, and that makes you like the people that superheroes
It's also been running forever. And like this is like the 4th reissue of this first volume here.
Also running forever, Invincible. Which I love recommending. Like that is one of those ones where I can tell you, if you like Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z, but wished it was more gory,
That's
read
Invincible.
It has aliens. It has people getting punched in the head and their heads exploding. It has entire alien species that looks like Freddie Mercury.
They all have deliciously wonderful mustaches.
Well, not the women, but the women still have the haircuts.
Yes, yeah.
And they're all superpowered. There's superpower fights.
Yeah.
It's just
there's some great alternate reality stuff going through this. Like any bit of superhero action that you wanted to see without the limitations of it being Marvel or DC, that's what you have with this. And it's written by Robert Kirkman, the writer of The Walking Dead. So
he does all the things.
Exactly.
Okay.
He is great at
let's
it.
Move on.
All right.
Okay.
Who to read?
Yeah, that's a shot from the Hawkeye comic.
Let's all just amaze ourselves. That somebody cosplayed as that to a con once, actually. That exact thing with the Hawkeye emblem and everything.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
So,
Matt Fraction.
Matt Fraction's he's written the stuff I've mentioned here. He wrote the Hawkeye, Invincible Iron Man, which was the title they launched after the first movie came out. It was about Tony Stark rebuilding from the ground up and being like, again, like in the movie, I don't want to be a weapons manufacturer, so I'm going to build cell phones and I'm going to build cars. And it kind of takes off from that, and I really enjoyed that. Sex Criminals is new. It's really awesome, or at least I think it's awesome. It's about a girl who, whenever she has an orgasm, time stops.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird. And she does little weird things on the side with it, because what are you going to do when time is stopped? And then she finds a guy who has the exact same power. So, of course, they start dating. And then they're like, hey, we could do stuff while time is stopped.
Let's rob banks.
Yeah, that's where it comes in. It's like, we're going to rob the bank to help save the library she works at. Because that's a great business plan.
It gets weird in all the right ways.
There is like a sex police.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to abuse your time-stopping orgasm powers, and they're going to stop these people no matter what it takes.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Brian K. Vaughan. Saga, we recommended it just about every year. It's amazing. It's one of the best science fiction series around right now.
He wants it to be sort of like Star Wars, but it's a lot weirder, quirkier. It has dirty language in it. It has titties.
Yeah.
It has robots having sex.
Why the Last Man? What if there was only one man left on Earth after a plague wipes out every man on Earth but you?
And his monkey.
It's very much almost like would you say it's like a caper series or
Why the Last Man?
Yeah,
it's a post-apocalyptic journey series, as most post-apocalyptic stories are. It's like I need to get from point A to point B, and the point B is we need to find out why you didn't die in this male apocalypse.
Yeah.
So let's go to this lab and we'll study you. And all the way there's like people trying to kill them or to take him as breeding stock since he's the only dude.
Yeah.
There is a female Israeli soldier who wants to kill him, or rather fight him, because she believes she should die in battle and it should be at the hands of a man.
And
it's crazy.
We already mentioned Ex Machina, so I'll just mention Runaways real quick. Runaways was sort of like almost like Young Avengers before Young Avengers, only it's what if you find out that all of your parents are evil? And it's basically
your parents are supervillains. So what do you do? Well, you form a super team and you run away from home.
Yeah,
of course you do.
Of course.
Okay, moving forward.
G. Willow Wilson.
G. Willow Wilson. I mentioned her already, so I don't really need to talk up too much of this. A-Force is a all-female Avengers that she's writing right now. So if you like any of those characters. You like She-Hulk. You like Medusa. This is just it's lady extravaganza.
Yes. All right, we'll move forward
we
here.
pretty much talked up. Yeah, I think we can kind of just.
Gail Simone, I'll mention real quick. Gail Simone is one of the best writers of female characters in all of comic books right now. She's revitalized Red Sonja. She's one of the best Birds of Prey / Batgirl writers of all time. And Secret Six is just like, it's 6 villains. That's what it's about. Not 6 heroes, 6 villains, and where they go in their antics. So that's totally worth it. Gail Simone, give it a shot. What not to read? We're going to get in that real quick. Unless you want to hate comics. Do not read this stuff.
These are the kind of things that, like, somebody says, you should read this, and then you read it, and you're like, I don't get it. What the hell? I don't want to...
Yes, we did. Yes, we went there. Joss Whedon, he might be great at planning things, but he's not so great at writing things. And especially when it comes to comics, he has major issues with women, which is weird because he's Joss Whedon and
I don't really need to describe that.
Buffy.
You can just Google Joss Whedon feminism, and you will probably find a ton of articles on the Mary Sue telling you his issues.
But most importantly, someone always gets Whedoned. It happens over and over again. Somebody that you love is going to die, even if they don't have to, because he's Joss Whedon, and that's all he freaking does.
I could spoil the end of the Buffy comic if anybody wanted me to, but I won't do it on this because that's mean. Yeah.
Frank Miller, everything but Daredevil, just skip, okay? He's racist, he's sexy, and he's nuts.
Sexist,
and he's nuts. That is the worst slip I could have possibly said. But you know what? Fine, I guess I think he's sexy.
And you know it.
Yeah. No, he's gotten worse and worse over the years with his politics completely taking over his comics. Holy Terror.
Yeah.
Holy Terror. It started out as a Batman comic. What if Batman goes on the hunt for Osama bin Laden? Why would anyone care?
The only reason it's not a Batman comic is because we actually killed Osama bin Laden. So it's like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah. And last but not least, if you see this on the stands and you're at all curious about it, do not read it. It's called Convergence. It's really only for people who have been fans of comics for 30 or 40 years that are missing the characters that New 52 got rid of. It's like, hey, we're moving our offices to California. We're going to create this thing over 2 months to placate those people and bring those characters back for 2 months. It's not worth it for anybody else.
Because we all know that 40-year-old white men are the future of comics.
Yeah, apparently so.
And I'm 35, so and you'll be there eventually.
But that's what we got here. Don't give it a shot. It's confusing as hell, and it's just pandering. We want to thank you guys for being here for this panel. Much appreciated. We have free comics that we're going to give out to you people now if you're interested. Yet again, and I have business cards as well. ComicTiming.net is my podcast. She's on it sometimes as well. Thank you.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you for putting up with our poorly paced panel.
We'll work on it.